We still got a check engine light burning, and today is been a unique one. So this morning we started out with a short video talking about a recall that was potential, basically getting loaded to come out. And we took a lot of flack today on my 4xe enthusiast page saying I was putting out false information. I should pay attention to what I'm posting. I'm going to cause panic. And a whole lot of nonsense saying this was fake. This is a scam. I don't know what I'm talking about. My dealership doesn't know anything about this, so you're wrong. I called Chrysler. They don't know anything about this. There were countless comments saying that this information I put out this morning was incorrect about the 68C, even though I posted this FCA document from 10/31/2025. I take pride in what we do and what I post being accurate. And again, if there's something I post that's wrong, you'll see me own it and you'll see me apologize, but not trying to cause panic. However, I own a 4xe, and the risk here is that these batteries can catch fire and the vehicles can catch fire and can hurt someone. So it says a vehicle fire can result in increased risk of occupant injury and injury to persons outside the vehicle. I think that's worthy of posting, my fellow 4xe fans, right? So that's what I did. Now, some of you are finally believing as of this evening that this information is accurate, but I want to talk about what this is all about. If you rewind a year ago, almost to the date, I think it was early October 2024, we had the B9A recall. It was the same, I'm going to call it the same verbiage. Vehicle catch fire, don't charge it. Your risk of fire is reduced when the battery is dead. Park it outside, etc., etc. We even had parking garages banning these vehicles and whatnot. Now, as you remember, the fix for the B9A recall, the fix for this, I'm going to call it again the same situation, it ended up being a software update. And what the software update did is it put the intelligence into your computer on your 4xe to alert you if your battery was bad. So in the event you had this separator problem, and what it was is inside the battery, imagine your high voltage battery stacked with 1 million AA batteries. It's obviously not the case, but you get it. There's these separators that separate all the cells, and there's some sort of material or whatever it is. There's a separator issue that can cause overheating and it can cause arcing inside the battery. The percentage is probably small, but it's big enough that obviously we've had some fires. Now, I don't know what kind of fires we've had recently to trigger this. We'll get to that in a second. So what this software does is they put this software in the Jeep to determine whether there's a voltage drop. They put some verbiage in there that the Jeep's now smart enough to determine, hey, there's a problem in this battery. I'm going to trigger a check engine light before it becomes larger. So that's kind of how they work through it. So if you remember the B9A recall, and if you remember how some dealers were skipping steps and it was a whole big thing, you can search B9A on our channel. You can watch all about some of the issues we had with the B9A recall and what dealers were doing to cut corners. Now, our friends at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, we work closely with them, and I know a lot of you guys serviced with them for the sheer fact that they followed everything step by step. Without going down that, what happened is if you got the update and then your check engine light came on, it basically said is, all right, you've got this new software that's now, I'm smarter now, and I know that the battery is bad. Now you would get a new battery. So if it failed this update, you would get a new battery. If it didn't fail the new test that they pushed through, you got an updated Jeep that would now recognize the failure if it were to show up later, and you moved on. Mine got the update, it passed. I've been driving it, no new battery. There's been a handful of them that they put the update in and check engine light said, hey, the battery's bad. They got a new battery. Now we have what's called the 68C recall. I would call this a recall of a recall. This is season 2, I guess, of the B9A recall. It basically is the same, again, the same verbiage of what the problem is. But here's the question, what is the fix? Is it going to be another software fix to where they're going to put more intelligence in? Or is this truly going to be a hardware thing where they've got to replace all these batteries in these 4xEs? That's going to be a huge question, and I'm curious to see where this really is going to go. But this is a pretty serious one in my opinion because, again, well, the risk is probably in the, single digits or less than, 1%. It's still a risk, right? And the risk is that your vehicle can cause or can basically start a fire. And what it has is a battery pack may contain cells with separator damage combined with other complex interactions within the cells, leading to a vehicle fire. So this does include all 4xEs, or at least all 4xEs. Whether yours is recalled or not will determine once this loads in and you can check your VIN. But it covers the whole range. Any 4xE, whether that's a Wrangler or Grand Cherokee, as it says 2020 to 2025 Wranglers, because we know there's no 26 4xE, which leads me to believe, is this why we haven't heard of a 2026 4xE? We've talked about why we haven't heard of the 26 4xE yet. We talked about it 6 months ago when there's supposed to be all these updates. 26s are on the lot, gas versions, but there's no 4xE 26 on the lot, and we haven't heard anything about it. Is this related? I don't know. And then if you own a Grand Cherokee, obviously that's 22 to 26 because there are those years. Now some people might be saying, well, 2020 4xE. Well, there were a handful of 2020 4xEs that squeaked out really early in the game. So that's why that is covered. But the question I have is, what are we doing to fix this? And we don't know that. And in fact, this is still kind of like pre-recall. Like this isn't, it hasn't reached consumers yet. You're going to start getting your letters in the mail. You'll be able to start searching VIN numbers here, I would imagine, pretty quickly. I imagine they're going to be on that real quick. But what's the fix? Again, is this what I would call a hardware fix? Or is everyone getting a new battery? Or are we going to put different software in this again? This is going to be an interesting one to see where this goes and how this is handled from that standpoint. Because, you know, there have been vehicles out there where they've had to replace every battery on the road. I think the Bolt was one, and I think there was another manufacturer that had one, but they only had a small percent. It was 5,000 cars or something like that. The 4xE, correct me if I'm wrong, there's hundreds of thousands of them on the road. I can't imagine putting hundreds of thousands of new batteries in these Jeeps. It's going to be a sustainable fix, but I have no idea. I will say, we're on year 5 of the 4xE, 6, depending on how you want to look at it. These issues are issues I think that should have been long behind us. These should have been years 1 and 2. My 2021, and having said that, I've had no issues between, I had a 21 and now a 24 4xE Wrangler. I've been through recalls. The only time I've ever been left stranded was this most recent, Uconnect issue we had that's now an open recall. But knock on wood, my Wrangler has been great. Have we been through the recalls? Yeah. Are recalls a normal thing in automotive industry? Yeah. Are recalls necessarily bad? No, they're forced to fix the problem. But this one kind of concerns me for the sheer fact it's kind of like a recall on a recall. Was the software a Band-Aid, and did they know that? Did that whole technology where it's going to alert you and pick up this failure early if there is one, did that not work? I don't know. I don't know of any recent fires. I haven't seen any in the news. So maybe this is just something that they've been watching. I don't know. But what I can tell you is we will keep you up to date on what is now the 68C recall. Again, some people are calling me out saying this was a Dodge Ram recall. And, again, so I'm very, very particular about what we post. I try to always make sure what we do is accurate. And for whatever reason I would ever post something that's not accurate, I would certainly call myself out on it. I've done it in the past. Let us know what you think. What was your last experience with your B9A recall? Did you have a battery replaced? I have, ironically enough, seen people that are not falling under the most recent telecommunication recall, and they're having propulsion issues and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if these things are just starting to pop up. There's a lot going on in 4xE world, so I guess all I'll say is be vigilant. If you have a check engine light, we always recommend get that to the dealer. Don't push this off in the 4xE. You really should push it off in any vehicle, but especially what we've seen with some of the propulsion issues and random shutdowns. If you're running your Jeep and you've got a check engine light, get it handled, and don't wait for a second recall to get the first recall fixed. Get them handled right away, get it to your dealer. But remember, your dealer doesn't have, we've talked about this a million times. Your dealership doesn't have the answers any faster than we do. So calling your dealership on Monday morning and asking about this recall is going to get you nowhere, I promise. Wait till the recall is really truly published, and then you can check your VIN. That's your next step. You can check your VIN. I'll put a link here where you can check it. You can check it by your license plate number or your VIN number. and it'll let you know what open recalls are on your Jeep. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll keep you updated on the recall situation, and hopefully the next step looks like this.